Hello, and welcome back to Team 39th Rhapsody. As usual, I am Tanishu and I will be your host for today. Apologies for the delay. I've been a bit inactive recently. I've been a bit busy with life, and some things take priority over Vanguard, but I do plan on making more content in the upcoming weeks, so please stay tuned for that. Today we will be talking about the new support cards for Welstra that have been released in set 4, as the cards have just come out and we have not seen the full set list yet. We will be doing a bit of review and speculation with the new cards, as long as a new what list to test out and some other options you can choose from. Starting off, we have the new Blitz server Kiartina with this amazing bunny girl eating a burger art similar to old Burger Coral. Auto, when this unit is put on Guardian Circle, if your order zone has 3 or more products, cost energy blast 3, and this unit gets shield plus 20k until the end of that battle. While seen being used by Taizo in the anime to do an impressive guarding against Equilibria, she is not really that practical in the actual deck, as space is limited, and with the new support card that I'll show you next, Energy Blast 3 is too high a cost for simply a 20k shield for one battle. However, more importantly, and game-changingly, we have the new Blitz Publicist Fentlichta. So, basically, Fentlichta says auto, when this card is discarded during your ride phase or main phase, if you have a grade 3 Vanguard with Welstra in its card name, you may call this card to rearguard circle. This means that she is great for discard fodder for either Yuva's skill or Welstra himself's skill, or even Fry Heights when using him on grade 3 Welstra. However, the big skill is that act once per turn, Energy Blast 4. If you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Welstra in its card name, choose a product with grade less than or equal to your opponent's Vanguard's grade from your order zone, operate it, and the cost of that product's original operate ability is reduced by CV1 until the end of turn. What makes this so great is that while it is restricted to you being on Welstra Vanguard, it means that it's another operate that is not locked like the old operate cards to if you have not operated, meaning you can Welstra Divine skill before this, and it allows you to operate Frymax one more time in a turn, which is an added minus 5k to your opponent's Vanguard and another retire. This, alongside the fact that you can now call Fry Heights for free or Fry Max for free after using this skill, greatly reduces the deck's CB cost, which was one of its many big costs that it had. When we look at the old list, this is what I used to play. It's very similar to the most recent set 2 topping list. The only difference is instead of playing 3 to 4 of each order and 3 Persona Ride, I subtracted 1 from each to play the put into soul draw 1 Eins. However, I'm currently testing this list, in which we play the new Fentlichta and the usual order lineup alongside the new dog promo with Blitz Sales Astel. Astel says auto, when this card is discarded from your hand during your turn, if you have a Vanguard with Blitz in this card name, you may put this card to soul. So when discard, he's also a free soul, and then if you put a card, countercharge 1 and energy charge 2. So not only is he a free soul when discarded during a Blitz Vanguard, which is any time during the game, you can countercharge 1 or energy charge 1. Using him on Fry Heights allows you to nullify the Fry Heights cost. Simply discarding him allows you to energy charge 2 or countercharge 1, further alleviating your countercharge cost, or adding energy so that you may use Fentlichta and other units as well without having to worry about energy cost. Then, continuous Guardian Circle. If you have a Vanguard with Blitz in its card name, this unit gets shield plus 5k. So he also acts as a 10k shield during any time in the game. This is really, really good, as Welstra struggles a lot on defense. However, this allows you to have just plus 5k more shield, which can make so much more of a difference. Finally, continuous rearguard circle. If you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Welstra in its card name, this unit gets plus 5k, active on your opponent's turn too. So while it is nice that it's active on your opponent's turn, It's more important that you can call him down and he can be a 13k attacker or booster. However, most of the time you'll be using for him for his discard cost. In terms of other options to consider, as many lists do play +1 of the set orders, each being +1, and then +1 of Welstra, allowing you to have 3 Persona Ride. Some lists also play 1 to 2 of the Jeweled Beast for Rank Gate, being extra shield and allowing you to add set orders back to your hand. Finally, others play Bald Reed. While Bald Reed was really good in set 2 to 3 Welstra, I am not sure whether he's sticking around or not, simply due to the dog promo. However, Bald Reed is basically a Sargon, so he's not a bad card to consider. In terms of what to cut, I have seen some people speculating on whether they are going to cut Bobo Mine or not, simply due to the fact that Welstra does not rely on as much CB anymore. However, in my opinion, although it does not, it still does use a good amount of CB, making some type of counter charge in the deck still worth it. This is why you can also take out the dog promo instead. The dog promo also being a source of counter charge, but having so many more uses that I would not recommend it. And finally, others have been deciding on how many Fentlichta to play. During my testing list, I played 4 Fentlichta. This is purely because I do want to see her, and if I don't see her, then I'm simply playing old Welstra and not having that much of an impact on the game. If we take a look back at the old list, here we can see that in my testing, I used Berhina instead of Tours. This is because Berhina Soul Blast 2 comes up more than often, considering how much soul charge I have put in this deck, being 4 of the dog and 4 of the Bobo Mine. I'm only playing 3 Freiheits, three Rubetzaru. However, you do really want to see Rubetza like most of the game, whether you go first or second, using the dog simply as discard fodder. However, if you don't see it, then you can set the dog and EB the dog. I play 2 Satellite, however I am considering 3. This is because sometimes you just won't see any of the dogs and you just won't see any energy charge. While your Divine Skill does set 1, you may need more, and thus in the later turns, and thus is why 3 may be the play. In terms of Fry Max, there is really little scenarios where you're actually going to end up setting both Fry Max and having to proc both Fry Max in one turn. This is simply due to Welstra's attack patterns. So playing 2 is fine with me, considering I will search 1 no matter what, and the only way for me to not have it is whether it goes to damage or drop. Finally, I am playing fronts over draws, simply because later in the game, during your big turn 3 and 4, while it is nice to see draws during your damage and your drive checks in the early game, you will find your pieces, considering how much plus Welstra has now, and fronts only make your turn 3 and 4 that much more threatening to your opponent. In terms of final thoughts for the deck, this is what a ideal and a bit practical going first turn 3 would look like, and a going to first turn 4. Although very, very small in font, you are basically on turn 3, assuming you see these cards and have a set order zone of Dubetsaru, Uriante, and Fry Max. You can use the dog for your discard fodder and your soul, and then you will have a Fentlichta to call, you will have a Berhina to call, and you will have a Freiheits to call. This allows you to minus 25k in total and minus 5 rear guards of your opponent's field. This is because you are going to proc Frymax 5 times. Minus 25k is actually very huge on any opponent's turn, as Welstra does not have much early game and is a big turn 3, turn 4 deck. In the hand, you can see I've put in the Persona Ride for next turn and the dog promo. The dog promo simply being an implication that you can discard this dog promo for any cost during that turn, and you might have 1 more CB, you might have 2 more energy. Either one works. This, as you can see, puts you at EB3 all in all, after you hit EB9 due to proccing Oriente, and then proccing Welstra and Fentlichta is -6, so you'll be at 3 even if you go first. Going on to turn 4, assuming that you are still alive and you've only taken 2 damage and probably discarded most of your hand to do that, you are going to Persona Ride, in which case your total will end up once again being -25k and retiring 4 and damaging 1. This is because on turn 4 you proc Oriente, and then this is where you can do a lot of swings under Persona when your opponent is at -25k. In the hand, you can see I've put another Oriente, implying that you could play Oriente with a Fry Heights if you have to, or if you need more energy. However, you will be at EB6, which means you will be put to EB0 next turn. So it's not a bad option. Considering the same option, you can also discard the dog for Fry Heights skill to add Persona or set order, allowing you to plus in other ways. The dog will then go to soul, and then you can once again energy charge 2 or countercharge 1, effectively nullifying the cost of Fry Heights. I also put Bobo Mine in the hand just to show you that you'll likely have other rears you can call down to furthermore boost your power and hit your opponent even harder. In terms of what I learned so far during testing, most of what I've noticed is that Welstra still struggles on defense, however is much more powerful on offense. -5k due to Fentlichta actually does make a huge difference whether your opponent hits a trigger or not, allowing you to hit better numbers. However, I've also noticed that depending on whether you not play the dog promo or not play Bobo Mine, you may run well in soul, in which case you won't proc Brahina as much. Following that is the simple things like being unlucky and getting basically triggered to death, and also not seeing the orders that you need to see, meaning Rubetsaru, because all in all, while the dog promo does give you another swing on your grade 2 turn, usually the swing is not as worth as getting a draw from Rubetsa, and also having Rubetsa being set, which is another draw and a soul charge. Personally, I think Welstra will be a very strong contender. As always, he may not be top tier, but the addition of Fentlichta makes this deck a lot scarier and a lot more fun to play. Thank you for tuning in today's episode, and I'll see you later.